Welcome back to Kearsarge Valley Magazine, and we are here in the art studio at Mount Royal Academy, and we are with our own resident famous artist, Margaret Dwyer of Wilmot, New Hampshire, who's both an art teacher here at the school, and as I said, our resident famous watercolor artist. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Well, it's wonderful to have you and to have some of your gorgeous things in front of us. Now, as I mentioned, you are famous for your watercolors, but tell us, you've got a nice example of some other things that you've got going on here. You recently got your Master's of Fine Art. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. I've been doing watercolor for quite a long time, several decades actually, and I guess in this area that is what people identify me mostly with. But I have branched out into doing other things as well. One of the things is I've gotten more into my photography based on a project that I did while earning my Master of Fine Arts degree a couple years ago. My thesis work in that program was based on dreams and the unconscious. And so I delved into photography that involved using my bed because I dream about water all the time. Mm-hmm. And I ended up documenting my bed being submerged underwater for about 6 months through the winter. So it was encased in ice. And
you were moving the bed around.
I was moving the bed around. It lived underwater in a pool for a few months, and then it lived in a brook for a few months and became snowed upon and encrusted in ice. And I got some really interesting images from it. People like to think that they're photoshopped in some way with double imagery, but they're not at all. It's just the results of the actual process of, going this far with objects from the space of sleep and then letting nature and the weather play a part in the color and such. So,
you have some examples in front of us?
I do. You can see a few of these. This one, for instance, all of these beautiful lines that are in there as the result of trees reflecting in the water.
Oh my.
It looks like a double image of sorts, and the color looks very vibrant, but that was actually on a November day, and the sky was just beautiful blue.
One of those clear, beautiful fall
Yeah,
days.
one of those bluebird days. And this one is actually a quilt that was made by my sister that is floating above the bed, but there's actually no reflections at all in this one, and so it gives a sort of spookier feel to it, a little more of a haunted feel.
Yeah.
I decided, though, after I earned my MFA that I wasn't quite done with this project, so I have continued it to other locations. I've gotten my poor husband involved in helping me actually move the bed.
Needs to move the bed.
He's my best assistant. I owe him a lot.
I can prop this one up for you.
Yes, this one is actually my bed in Pleasant Lake, also on a November morning where there's mist. A lot of weather changes going on. We've got, warm air meeting the cool water of the lake, and so it made a beautiful effect. And it's sort of to give that dreamy effect of being somewhere else. When you lay down in your bed, you often travel to the unconscious landscape.
That's nice. So your whole MFA was tied up around these images. I'm sure you did some writing around it.
I did quite a bit of writing and research on this. I wrote several papers on the topic, and just got so much from the project, learned so much, and delved into a lot of medical research and psychological research, which I've always been interested in as well. So it was a great opportunity to tie all that together and, cross over into the interdisciplinary fields of art with other subjects. So it was nothing I planned to do when I went in there. It just evolved based on what did I want to say with my art? And that's kind of what the MFA at that level, I guess, in art is all about, is giving your work more voice and giving some message and some power into your imagery. The type of art where, people are painting strictly a beautiful still life or a landscape, that all has purpose too, but it speaks more to a technical level of being an artist and making art that's very pretty and beautiful, and that's all good too. But I try to, as I said, give my work a bit more voice. Artists have more power than I think we're given credit for.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah, and so if we can speak through our work and deliver some kind of message, I think that's important to do. So that's where my work is leading. But I love my watercolor still. I continue to do that. Watercolor is a passion of mine that I will never let go.
Well, you're technically extremely excellent in it, based on this gorgeous picture, which I know is kind of a signature style for you, doing the glass.
The topic of glass was important for me to do in watercolor. It was a hard thing to do. I think it made me a better painter because I took on a harder subject matter, and it was great. It got recognized by bigger powers. My glass paintings are published in 3 different books right now. A couple of the Splash books, which is a watercolor series of America's Best Watercolors.
Like a big coffee table.
It's a showcase book, right? And then I'm in another book published by international artists called How Did You Paint That? And it was all because of the theme of glass.
And you developed a technique around that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was hard to figure that out. But what I liked about it was I didn't really set up scenes. I simply love glass anyway. I would love to be a glass blower too. But I would place things in my home and just leave them be and discover them in a beautifully lit situation. Or, that's my mother's tablecloth in there that I inherited.
Yeah.
Just personal touches like that give it some meaning for me. So,
great.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, you're one of our resident famous artists. So
thank
you for sharing some of your new work and some of your treasured older pieces. Continued success.
Thanks very much.
When we return, I'll wrap up our weekday edition of KVM with some highlights coming up on our weekend show starting this Friday morning. So stay with us.